If you click around on the internet long enough, you're going to see these guys. They are promising you a better life, an easier life, fast money, independence, a world without really working. They are promising you something they call passive income. And this is why it's a crock of shit. My name is Ryan Broderick. I'm a freelance writer. I publish a newsletter about technology and web culture called Garbage Day. And with me, once again, is my ever-faithful motion graphics artist, John. I spend a lot of time on YouTube, and today we're going to be talking about something that I've been noticing more and more. It's a concept that's commonly referred to as passive income. And if you start going down YouTube rabbit holes, you're going to see it pop up more and more. In the opening of this video, I called it a crock of shit, which might be a little harsh, but it's definitely not what people think it is. It's hard, it's annoying, and it's definitely not a quick way to become financially independent. So we're going to take a look at what these influencers are promising and why it might always sort of just feel a little bit out of reach. I want to start by reading a couple tweets because I think they're a really good look at the priorities that this passive income community has. Profit with Ant, who goes by the Side Hustle King, tweeted, "Would you rather get paid $1 million right now or $50 every month for the rest of your life? I'll take option B. That's what passive income is. Find a way to make passive income, it'll change your life." Then Nick Huber, who tweets under the name Sweaty Startup, replied, "B all day. What people don't understand is 1/2 of that million will be paid in taxes. $50 a month can be used to pay my cell phone bill, which I'd use to make more money. Or my internet bill, which I'd use to get smarter and make more money. Or rent a power washer each month to make more money." Now, I've read this tweet a lot, and I still don't totally understand what the power washer has to do with anything. But there were more tweets, because people immediately started pointing out that perhaps Profit with Ant and Sweaty Startup weren't really doing the math correctly. One user replied, "Sir, with respect, this is the wrong choice. $50 a month is $600 a year. $600 on $500,000 is a yield of just 0.12%. I could invest that $500,000 in treasuries and make a better return." Sweaty Startup replied, "You don't understand scale. Use $50 to buy 10 tomato plants. In 6 months, you have 250 tomatoes. Plant those into 250 plants. 6 months, you have 6,250 plants. Plant them. 6 months, you have 156,000 tomatoes. Plant them. 6 months, you have 3.9 million tomatoes. Sell them for $1 each." Let's be absolutely clear. This is nonsense. But there was more, because many users obviously pointed out the error of the logic here. "I don't know where you shop, but if you pay $1 per tomato, you're defo getting ripped off." Sweaty Startup replied, "You are a poor salesman." Vendetta SDF replied, "Have you harvested tomatoes like ever? 1 to 25 to 625 never happens. It's not software that'll scale so fast. And when you do sell them, you'll have to pay taxes as well." And Sweaty Startup replied again, "You are a poor farmer." For what it's worth, Sweaty Startup later claimed that he was just trolling, which, alright, I guess. But it still doesn't explain what the power washer was for. All of this is to illustrate the lack of understanding of what working is and how easy it is on the internet to make it seem like something is much easier than it is. Before we go any further, I want to say that beyond talking about specific influencers or creators, I'm more interested in analyzing why passive income content does so well on platforms like TikTok and YouTube. I recently this year started freelancing, and I've been dipping my toe into the world of being a creator online myself, which means I do a lot of research on how to run a website, how to set up an e-commerce store, how to manage subscriptions, how to open a Patreon. These are all pretty common questions for somebody who's trying to make a living in 2020 on the internet. You start searching around long enough, you're going to start finding a term that appears more and more often: passive income. The problem with passive income is that it sounds great. You do a bunch of little things on the internet for money, and then those little things on the internet start making you more and more money until you can just sit back and let the internet make you money forever. And you'll start to notice some pretty common suggestions for passive income sources. Opening a blog, starting a YouTube channel. I learned how to produce music during the pandemic, so I had many recommendations from YouTube producers who said, sell your own beats. The issue with these things is that they require scale. Scale is kind of king on the internet. Nothing you want to do online really matters unless you have enough people. It doesn't mean that you have to have 1 million followers, but it means that whatever you want out of the internet requires a certain amount of people. Do you want a good Discord server? You probably need 50 to 100 people. You want a good TikTok account? Well, you probably should start trying out some trending topics. That's sort of the way the world works now because our internet is dominated by massive corporate platforms like Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, and they determine what we see and how we see it, and they care about getting as many eyeballs on a piece of content as possible. So if you can't give them eyeballs, their algorithms probably don't care about you. But the passive income grift is not just happening with YouTubers suggesting that you start an SEO farm. It has given rise to a new and frankly troubling pocket of the internet that's commonly referred to as Landlord TikTok. Now, I want to be clear right off the bat. I understand that we live in a complicated world and landlords exist. This is not a video in which I say that we should abolish all landlords. But this new group of young landlords using TikTok to advertise a form of passive income via owning apartment buildings or housing units is extremely toxic. And several of these videos have gone very, very viral in the last few months because, frankly, people are outraged watching them. You watch enough landlord TikToks and you start to notice a pattern. They're pretty young, mostly white people in their mid to late 20s talking about how they don't have to really work because their housing units work for them. But to use TikTok to advertise buying properties you can't afford on your own as a way to generate passive income and spin it up like an aspirational lifestyle for young people is very dangerous. And I've watched these videos. They treat owning property like a hack. You buy an apartment building for X amount of money, you charge Y amount for rent, and you have Z amount for profit. This does seem like a fun and interesting thing, but there is a real dark side. And that's why I think we need to talk about Samuel Leeds. I learned about Samuel Leeds while recording a podcast of mine last month, and I was honestly shocked by what he was putting on TikTok. Leeds runs a company called Property Investors, which offers training to help people become quote-unquote financially free. These courses cost money, and according to a recent BBC article, it has been described as something like a cult. In fact, one of the students that was working with Leeds, a former soldier, committed suicide after he paid more than £13,000 to train with Leeds. Leeds may paint himself as a real estate expert on TikTok, but he's actually a former magician. And most of his TikTok content is dressing up gentrification as a life hack for ways to make passive income. Now, obviously, this is a pretty dark example of this, but it goes to show you exactly what's at the heart of this passive income grift. Passive income videos, whether they're about making a blog or buying crypto or being a landlord, all feed into an aspirational content loop. And for the most part, this scene isn't super nefarious, taken piece by piece, but you have to put yourself in the shoes of somebody who's Googling through this and really doesn't know what they're looking at. It's very easy to think that these could be genuinely safe ways to replace trying to find work. It's become something like the siren song of the modern internet. But if you think about how the internet really works right now, It's almost set up in a way that makes it impossible to wrestle control from the massive companies that run the platforms we use every day. Sure, you could spin it like you do a little bit of work on this website, you make a couple posts on that website, you make a video on this site, and over time, it just starts building up ad revenue or online traffic or whatever it is. But actually, if you flip it, you get a better sense of what's happening, which is that you're now technically an uncontracted worker for several companies. And there really isn't an easy way to fix this sort of thing. But it's important to remember that the internet wasn't always like this. Yes, there were always people selling snake oil or recruiting for their pyramid schemes or promising a get-rich-quick scheme. But it used to be easier to make a life for yourself on the internet. And I think it's worth asking why it isn't as easy now, and who is actually profiting from all of our hard work. Maybe the real path to financial freedom isn't something that is achieved by building out spammy businesses on corporate platforms or taking expensive real estate seminars or investing in crappy crypto coins. Maybe financial freedom is finding a corner of the internet that you completely own and using it to do whatever you want. Then again, I'm a guy who's also on YouTube telling you what to do with your life. So maybe that's the biggest problem here. If you liked the video, like and subscribe. I'll be making more. I promise I won't try to convince you to buy real estate. And thank you, John, for making the fantastic graphics for this video. And don't worry, I didn't forget. Here is a video of John's dog.